I was listening to Young Turks, and up there's Ring of Fire. Go figure. I already saw the opening of it once, and that was maybe a week ago, I think, or at least earlier in this week. So I decided, okay, it's on Young Turks. I will listen to it in full. The thing was, Tucker Carlson threatened by angry protesters at his home. And, look, don't click away. I would like for you to hear the full context of what I'm going to say. So just hear this out. My first thoughts were, yeah, man, don't care. I don't care about him. Don't give a damn. It's hard for me to care about people who express not caring about other people. It's really hard. Naturally, when someone has shown that they don't care about someone based on race or finance or what they were told to believe about that person or that group of people instead of actually knowing anything, then it's hard to really care about what happens to them. It really is. However, I am also someone that deeply, it's after what I said, but I actually do care about a person's life. And if one person is going to make it so that dozens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, or millions are going to hurt, or worse, then that one person is not even worth considering to be viable to keep alive, because there's no need for so many to die just so for one to a few people can have their jollies. That is not cool. It should not be accepted in my mind. Now, when they talked about what happened, it was people from Antifa, or short for anti-fascism, and they supposedly what Mike Papatonio and Farron Cousins was talking about was that they went up to his home, they knocked on his door, and shouted like, "We know where you live," or something like that. And I'm like, honestly, my first thought was, that's not cool. That's my first thought, really. I was like, that's not cool. I mean, he's just on TV saying his thing, and if you don't like what he has to say, counter it. But then I also thought this. That's what's been going on for quite some years. Whatever the racists get on Fox and say, and I say racist, it's an assertion, but it's an observable and empirically proven assertion. So, I mean, what I'm saying is factual. It's proven. You can watch Fox News and know it. But go ahead, pull up TYT, pull up Secular Talk, pull up stuff from Fox News. It don't matter. You're gonna hear it. You're gonna hear the talk about, immigrants are the enemy, blacks are the enemy, Mexicans are the enemy, Muslims are the enemy. And if somebody white does something, you don't hear anything about it. You just don't. It's not covered because you want to protect that. So these people from Antifa go up there and do that, and I thought it's not cool. It's not cool. But then I also thought, well, what do you expect? What do you expect? Because, see, for the longest, all of these the church burnings, yes. The church massacres, not shootings. You don't go to a church and shoot. No, they go to churches and kill people. Black churches shot up, burned down. Churches where Latinos go, raided, trashed, some burned, where you have crosses burned over the generations. You have threats in the mail, threats at the door, beatings in public places. Cops even today shooting unarmed Latino, Asian, and blacks in the streets in broad daylight or under the cover of night, citing a gun where there was none, choking them out for selling things that actually not even for selling, for even breaking up a fight. Where you have the cops, these white cops, and these black trained cops. Might I add, the black cops got to be more brutal against their own race and other minorities just so they can fit in properly. I mean, once you get into the group, think about it. If you by yourself and you don't know who is a minority that's on your side or not, so what are they going to do? They're going to try not to get their ass kicked, or fired or harassed. But they still get harassed and bullied just to make sure they stay in line. It is a racist country, and you do what you can to survive. That is sad. So when you got people like Tucker Carlson and anybody, and I mean anybody that gets up on Fox News or any platform and spout that racist crap, what's going to happen is eventually someone that is going to act on it. Then they're going to put this into small, quick, and rational context. They have been brutalizing the minorities and whatnot for generations. And all that the Democrats and then transition into Republicans, and then transition into Democrats, then transition into progressives now, what they're going to do is say asking and begging and conversing and countering has not worked. How many generations of minorities must die before someone say we need to finally fight this fire with fire? And in some cases, you don't fight a fire with fire, you fight fire with a flamethrower. Maybe just upgrade to a laser flamethrower, because you have to come back harder. When racism is, at first it was just coded racism, and then it turned into blatant racism, and then the only person to die, now people got beat up, they've got cut, they've been shot at, saying, calling them the N-word and then shooting at him in daylight. Nothing happened to that guy. But slightly before that, sad to say, but Heather Heyer, white girl, got killed, and they used that. Now, if you're a pretty little white girl, you're going to get noticed. Now, I know that'll turn a lot of you off, but just think of how many African Americans it took to get killed by these racist cops before anyone even decided to really take notice and put it in the mainstream. And now it's desensitized. No one really cares anymore, because it's still happening, but it's not being reported because it's not the flavor. These so-called progressive companies aren't going to get the clicks and views anymore, so they are not going to report it. See what I'm saying? Is that a real progressive? There are no true Scotsmen in terms of progressives. Is that really being a progressive? So what's going to happen? A little white girl gets killed. Well, she's a woman, I get it. But she gets killed, and then she becomes almost the martyr. She's the poster child of the anti-fascism movement. And it's not the Antifa group. It's in general, any forward-thinking, any progressive out there is going to be a part of the anti-Trump, right now Republican, because right now Republican and racist, the two R's is just a cover word now. Republican is just cover for racist. I mean, that's what's going on. And I'm not trying to preach from a soapbox or nothing. I'm just letting you know what it is and why things are happening the way they're happening. Because violence will beget violence. But the problem is, you got people like Cenk Uygur and Kyle Kalinske, Mike Papantonio, Farron Cousins, and at little points Benjamin Dixon, all of these, the elite mainstream of progressive media who ask for help but, don't want to do things that would enable said help. They are the ones that will say, well, you can't be violent, you can't do this. You have to sit down and have a conversation about why you're dying. When you got these racists out here that say, look, I know some white people are going to, a lot of white people are going to lose their health care and they're going to suffer and die. But those minorities, they're going to die in droves because they can't afford it. Now, they all have access to it. We're not racist. See, they have access, but they can't afford it. And that's really what they mean when they say access. The minorities can't get it. But you can go and get it. I mean, you can go to the hospital and get checked out. You can do all that stuff. But you can't afford the bill. When you can't afford the bill, you got to make choices. And when they start paying that bill off mandatory or prison time, that will be the absolute moment of their victory. when they start making not paying bills punishable by law. If you can't pay the bill in a certain amount of time, which they'll probably give you 6 months to a year, or they'll probably do something where, well, according to your financial records right now, this is what it'll take in terms of duration to pay off this bill. But you can't, because they look at how much you make gross and use that instead of what you make net. And what you make in gross will always be a third of what you pull in net. You can't pay it off. It's too much. That's going to be their victory. I promise you that. So with Tucker Carlson and being, confronted at his home by Antifa or anti-fascist protesters, honestly, so he has a bullhorn and he reached millions of racists. He reached all of their sponsors. He reached all of Big Pharma. He reaches all of the industrial military complex, all those military contractors and stuff. He reached every single one, the Koch brothers, the Waltons, it don't matter. He will reach every single one, and they will all hear, thank you for being on our side, and manipulating your audience into siding with us. They hear that. They thank him for that. And all these other little companies, his show gets very popular. Just like, it don't take much. If you hate, you're gonna be popular. And all these other companies decide to say, we want a part of that. So we want to advertise on your show. And that's how that happens. That's all that has to happen. Just don't go overboard and say direct racist quotes. Just don't do that. And then you start to lose everything. So with these people showing up at Tucker Carlson's home, I don't care if when they show up at restaurants and be heckling people and whatnot. The truth is they deserve it because they're the one espousing it. They're the one spreading it, and they're the one that's pushing forward. They're pushing forward every negative action that is happening, because what they should do is call out Trump and say, wait, if this is supposed to be the land of the free, home of the brave, and we give equal opportunity to any and everybody, you can't do and say what you're doing. You have a job. You have a service. You are not allowed to break the emoluments clause. You cannot own businesses or run businesses by any means while you are sitting president. You can't do it. And maybe even after. I'm not sure. I didn't read that far into it. But yeah, he's president right now. He's not post. And it's right now talking about him being president and breaking the rules, but nothing's happening. Nothing is happening. And all the favors he's doing and stuff and helping his sweet little stupid racist daughter get all these patents and whatnot from China. Oh, yes. It's time for people to stand up and say, we're going to take the fight to you. Because we can say, please, why are you taking our health care away? Shut up. We don't care. Look, 3 million of you are going to die in the next 5 years. I don't care. I'm wealthy. Well, look, I'm going to call you out on everything you're doing. And they say, okay, fine. Do that for the next 6 or 7 months. Another million of you are going to die, or a few thousand are going to die or whatnot. It don't matter. We're rich. Look, you can't have your angry protest where people get hurt. Yeah, but you're not going to stop. You're just going to talk, and we're going to do and do. So, what are you going to do? We killed one. We'll have another. So long as these racists are allowed to be racist and they're not demonized, they're not shunned, rehabilitation should not be in prison. It should be at the dinner table. That's how I see it. What do you think? Leave your comments in the comment section below. You can reach me on Twitter and all this, like, share, subscribe, all that crap that I usually don't say because I'd rather just end the damn thing. But this is Cedric, candidate for Comparative Reasoning. Thank you for listening.